welcome back to the Very Factual podcast. I'm your host, Izabella. Kayla is still on vacation, but she is coming back very soon. And this week, we had a very different kind of Premier League match week. We had a few teams that were playing, and we also had the Carabao Cup final take place, and we saw Liverpool play Chelsea in this final, and Liverpool, sadly, they won their 10th Carabao Cup, beating Chelsea 1-0. The scoreline was very low, but the game was full of action. Liverpool were dealt another injury as Ryan Gravenberch had to be stretchered off, and Joe Gomez came on to replace him. Raheem Sterling and Virgil van Dijk would both have very controversial goals chopped off for offside calls, and the game would have to go into extra time, and the game was finally won in the 118th minute with Liverpool's captain, Virgil van Dijk, bringing Liverpool their first trophy of the season. I want to talk about Chelsea for a minute. I'm very disappointed. We blew it. That is the way you can sum it up. We literally bottled it. I don't know how. I thought actually we started off well. I thought the whole 90 minutes went well. I thought it was okay. We were getting shots off. We had opportunities. We had a total of 19 shots and 9 on target. Liverpool had 24 and 11 shots on target. So I thought it looked even. We had a goal chopped off for offsides, which the angle that I saw, it looked like Joe Gomez was playing Sterling onside. I don't know. That could just be my bias, but that's what I thought. But then extra time came along. I started panicking. And when we got back out on the field for extra time, we did not care anymore. We got lazy. We stood there and did literally nothing. It looked like we did not want to play anymore. And the fact that we lost it basically in the last minute makes it worse. Extra time goes to 120 minutes. We lost it in the 118th minute. We could have kept it 0-0. We could have went into penalties. I think we have some good penalty takers. Liverpool were missing a lot of their starting players. We had more experienced players on the field towards the end of the game. Liverpool, they started putting out all kids, just a bunch of teenagers. We showed no effort during the corner kick, which led to the goal. We were not trying to clear anything. We just didn't even try. And we just let Virgil van Dijk have a free header like that and win a final that we wanted to win so bad. It didn't look like we wanted to win it at all. It looked like we didn't care. Leading up all the press to this, Chelsea was just putting out a bunch of articles about players saying, yeah, we need to win, Wembley, stuff like that. You did not want to win if you perform like this. It's disgraceful. And I think this loss, especially the way we lost it, is going to be in the back of the players' minds for a while. We have to play Leeds midweek. Leeds are doing amazing in the championship. So we have to play them for the FA Cup. And I feel like it still might affect us. Liverpool put out a very secondary squad. They brought out a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds, especially towards the end, because they were missing a lot of players. We put out our strongest team, I would think. Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher, Palmer, Sterling, Jackson, and even when we started making substitutions, we brought on strong players. We brought on Christopher Nkunku, who we thought was going to be our, savior. And it didn't work. And we couldn't have beat Liverpool at a better time because it was literally a bunch of kids. The oldest players on the field towards the end of the game were Luis Diaz, Endo, Virgil van Dijk, and that's it. It was literally teenagers. And no one would have said anything if Liverpool didn't win this, especially since they are literally depleted with injuries. I probably, if Liverpool would have lost, I would have been obviously happy that we won, but then again, I would bring up the point that they have a lot of injuries. And Liverpool still did it. And Chelsea, I was very surprised with how we performed because we have been building confidence. We beat Aston Villa, we drew with Manchester City, and we just lost it. We forgot about the results that we had previously. We did not control the game. We left it all out on the table and let a bunch of teenagers win it. And Liverpool did this all without Mohamed Salah. They did it without Darwin Núñez, without Diogo Jota, without Dominic Szoboszlai, without Trent Alexander-Arnold. Ryan Gravenberch got injured in the beginning of the game. And it just shows the big difference between £1 billion that Chelsea spent and Jurgen Klopp's side. Jurgen Klopp has not spent as much money as Chelsea. He brought in academy players and is playing them, and Chelsea, we still can't beat them. And it's because we don't have that team spirit. You could definitely see that team spirit in Liverpool, and it makes me very sad because I seriously thought we had a big chance. I was going into this game with full confidence. I just thought, because of all the injuries, that we could have got something out of it. We had a lot of our players fit. The only big player we were really missing is Thiago Silva. But then again, our defense has been looking very good. But it's very disappointing, and I'm pretty sure this result, especially the way we lost it, is going to affect us. We also had a couple of big Premier League games this weekend, and Arsenal's goal-scoring streak continues as they cruise past Newcastle, beating them 4-1. An own goal by Sven Botman would put Arsenal in front in the 18th minute, followed by Kai Havertz making it 2-0 at the break. The second half produced 3 more goals, with the likes of Bukayo Saka and Kivior scoring, making it 4-0 for the Gunners. Newcastle would get a consolation goal back in the 85th minute, but it wasn't enough, as Arsenal are now a point behind Manchester City, who are in second place. Arsenal were incredibly strong in this game. This game was one-way traffic. It was just Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. I did not see any big, Newcastle chances. I did not see them making it very hard for Arsenal at all. If you even look at the scoreline, you can tell it wasn't hard. Arsenal, something about them is that they know how to manipulate teams. It's very toxic, but when they see a team that's struggling, they just pounce on it, and they don't let them get out of their half. They just make them literally suffer in their own half. Newcastle, at one point in this game, or maybe even the whole game, they kept booting the ball because they had no idea what to do with it. They were just trying to get themselves breathing room. They could not cope because Arsenal kept pressing. They were always at their net. All the players were on them. Arsenal can't stop scoring. And I'm very shocked that they can't, because I don't think it's attainable for the rest of the season to be scoring 4 or 5 goals, even 6 goals a game. But they keep proving me wrong, and it looks like they're not going to stop. You can see how much they want this title, especially this time around. They are, it's a 3-team title race. It's probably going to be like this for the rest of the season, especially if Arsenal keep, putting up results like this. They kept getting at Newcastle's backline. Fabian Schär and Sven Botman had a horrible game. I thought those two were very good last season. I really liked Newcastle's backline last season, and I thought Schär and Botman were probably some of the best defenders in the Premier League. But now, if you look at it this season, Arsenal have conceded the most goals since December than any other team in the Premier League. And last year, keeping clean sheets was their strong suit. That's what they were good at. We saw them upset a lot of Big Six teams. We thought they were going to be top 3, maybe even title contenders. And Arsenal they knew that Newcastle have been struggling this season. They're not the same Newcastle side, and Arsenal took advantage of that. They saw that. They were very aggressive. it was insane. They were really slick with their passing. It was very clean. They kept possession. They always wanted the ball. Even when Newcastle had it, they were just on them. And I think Arsenal's biggest asset is their defense. I don't think a lot of people realize it, but I feel like without their especially defensive backline this season, this is why they're so good. Gabriel and William Saliba have been probably one of the best center back pairings in the Premier League. Like, they are probably, I would put them up there with probably like Virgil van Dijk and Konate this season. I think it's those two pairings. Maybe Gabriel and Arsenal have had a stronger season a bit, but you just see Gabriel and Saliba, and then you have Ben White and Jakub Kiwior, who has stepped in for Alexander Zinchenko. And I think leaving out Zinchenko has just made it even stronger, because I feel like we know Zinchenko is not a strong defender. I feel like he's always been one who likes to move forward, and he wasn't the best defender. And now you have these four guys who really like to defend, and that's what they do. And that's all they want to do. They don't want to get super high up. They want to be there, lock teams down, clear the ball, not let their goalkeeper get the ball. And that's why it's hard for teams to get past Arsenal. And that's why they've conceded 3 goals in their last couple of games. Like, it's insane how strong this defensive lineup is. And I don't think it's attainable to keep scoring these amount of goals. But if their defense stay like this, and they, maybe they can pull out like 2-0 kind of result, I think they will definitely be up there in the title race and be there in the long run. Manchester United would be stunned at home with a 1-2 loss against Fulham. It would take till the second half for the goals to come, with Calvin Bassey putting Fulham in front. Just as it looked like Fulham had won it, Harry Maguire intervened, leveling for United. But there was one last plot twist as Fulham caught out United, and Alex Iwobi would get the game-winning goal in the 97th minute. Okay. United, they're back. We see the real United now. And Ten Hag, he started his excuses again. He started making excuses after a game in his press conference, saying they showed character and that you need to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that you lost. Like, why don't you just admit that? Like, how can you actually believe that? Like, what is wrong with you? You guys lost. You were horrendous. And I think the reason they lost is because there was no Rasmus Højlund. He's out with a muscle injury for a few weeks. He's been getting the goals for them. He has been their spark. They have they put everything to rely on him. Like, the whole team could look bad, but then they get a goal because of him, and that's what they were missing. This was probably their worst result recently. Like, they were on a bit of a run. I thought they were doing very well, but I guess that just was because of Rasmus Højlund. And you can clearly see that in this game. They were very outplayed. Fulham are not even, like, a super good side this season, especially not recently. I'm pretty sure they lost 5 out of their last 6 games. Like, that's not good. And United have won, 5 games? United did not know how to deal without Højlund. They did not know how to get the goals, and that's a problem because you can't rely on one player too much. Like Rashford, he can't play anymore. He is not the same player. He had that one good season last season, but he's definitely not repeating it. He just fell off his pedestal. He's not that player that we saw, especially at the beginning of his career. And Rashford is still quite young, which is very surprising to me. Garnacho, and he's a great player, but he does not play with the team. He really just gives me like that young Cristiano Ronaldo kind of vibe where he can do everything himself, and that I think once he got that bicycle kick goal, that's when he thought he can do everything himself. Fulham actually could have had more goals, which I think the reason they didn't is because they were missing a lot of players and they just do not have that edge. Fulham had, like, control over the game. If, you look at the possession, United had more. United had more shots on target. United had more shots, but it was only because they sat back after Calvin Bassey scored, and that's why United had more possession. And United, they looked like their old selves. They were extremely slow. Their midfield did not show up like in the beginning of the season. They did not fight. They did not want to create anything. They looked lazy. They just looked like the same Manchester United from the beginning of the season and the season before that. And the one goal they scored by Harry Maguire, it was a mess. It was not clean. It just, Harry Maguire happened to be there. There was no planning in that. It just happened. And I seriously am not sure I can't tell you if this will be like a one-off result. It could be until Højlund comes back, but they need to figure out how to deal without him because they put everything on him. They think that Højlund will carry them, but Højlund is out for a couple weeks. And United, they can't just keep dropping points until he comes back, so they really need to sort that out because it's going to be a big problem for them. Like, everyone is already getting at them again, and they seriously need a big reality check. Manchester City's lack of goals continues, but it turned out to be enough as they managed to beat Bournemouth 0-1 with a goal from Phil Foden. So this was a typical City performance. They dominated possession. Like, that's very City. They kept the ball. They were always in Bournemouth half in the beginning of the game. Like, around the first half, they were in their half, but they started to lose that, especially towards the end of the game. But the thing is, they cannot shut teams out like they used to. We see Arsenal doing that. They put teams away easily, but City are struggling to do that. Like Semenyo and Solanke, they had some good chances. They had opportunities to score. This easily could have been 1-1, 1-2. There's still a lack of goals from City. Even though they had 15 shots and 6 on target, they are giving up too many chances. Bournemouth had 4 shots on target, 13 shots. But the thing is, City are giving up too many chances themselves. They cannot convert recently. Haaland had an incredible chance in the first half, and he couldn't convert. And I was very shocked about that because once I saw Haaland got the ball, I literally called out. I was like, goal. Like, I was so confident that they were going to score. I thought Haaland was going to score and that they would win this game, maybe 3-0, 3-1 maybe. Bernardo Silva also had a shot, but it was put just wide. And I was very shocked about that. And so the thing is, we're being very negative on City because of their lack of goals, but you cannot say too much because they are winning. They are, churning out results, even though it's not the results that they're used to or that we're used to seeing. But you have to see it in a way that they keep winning. They won their last 4 out of 5 games, and they drew that other one. So it's not like they're losing games. And I think, especially this title race, is going to come down to who cracks first. Whether it's City, they start losing to teams, Arsenal losing, their goal frenzy, Liverpool falling out of the title race because of injuries. But Bournemouth, they were poachers in this game. They pounced on every open ball. They were dangerous on the counters. They made City disappeared towards the end of the game. And City just held on. Like, Bournemouth easily could have tied up the game in the latter stages. Like, the back line completely switched off. But I don't think City will mind. They got the win. They got the 3 points. And they'll be fine with that. Because they are, 1 point off of Liverpool. Liverpool don't play this week. And they'll be fine with that because they are winning. They are gaining those 3 points. And that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Very Factual Podcast, and we will see you next week.